Hi, my name is Jared, and this is Horror Obsession. Today, I want to talk about Evil Dead 2013 in anticipation of the release of Evil Dead Rise, which is out in theaters. I recently rewatched the entire Evil Dead franchise, but 2013 really stands out from the rest. I love the original two Evil Dead movies, the first being an extremely low budget, single location horror film by Sam Raimi, whose serious yet sarcastic style made him the perfect director for the Tobey Maguire Spider Man movies. He followed it up with Evil Dead 2, a horror comedy that is essentially a higher budget remake of Evil Dead 1. Bruce Campbell is the lead in both, and his character has the same name, but just like a college freshman stumbling to the second floor of a fraternity progressive, Ash doesn't remember anything from the first one. Evil Dead 1 and 2 are known for their dynamic camera movements, crafting a unique energy despite the limited budget. Most single location movies suffer from a sense of claustrophobia, which, coupled with the unnerving sense they chose a single location due to the fact they couldn't afford anything else, ends up feeling a bit disappointing. I never get this feeling watching the original two Evil Dead movies, and Raimi's creativity and deft juggling of the serious yet comedic tone laid a foundation for many future horror directors. The third movie, Army of Darkness, is completely different than the first two, and follows Ash on a goofy journey into a medieval fantasy world, and much like Ron DeSantis' attempt to go to war with Disney, ends up being more of a joke than anything else. Army of Darkness veers into Looney Tunes territory, chock full of cartoony sound effects and Three Stooges gags like getting poked in the face by a bunch of skeleton hands at once. I like Army of Darkness, but it is less of a horror movie than Lord of the Rings. And along comes Evil Dead 2013, written in part by Sam Raimi and Fede Alvarez, and directed by Alvarez. Evil Dead 2013 answers the question, what if the Evil Dead was not funny or lighthearted in the slightest? The entire comedic and sarcastic tone is boiled away, and what is left is a brutal, disturbing film that is not for the faint of heart. I don't know if this is the most disturbing horror movie I've ever seen. I mean, Martyrs is pretty bad. 120 Days of Sodom is the most ridiculously disturbing thing ever put to film, and not in a fun way. But Evil Dead 2013 is in the top tier of disturbing imagery for me. If you haven't seen this movie, I suggest checking it out. If you claim to be a horror fan, you should have to sit through a movie like this every once in a while, just to test your mettle. The acting is pretty good, it is shot like a modern movie with quality cinematography, and I love the beginning of the film when they have all the silhouette shots in the misty forest, and the framing and set design are a big step up from the original films. The story is thinner than a White Castle patty, but Alvarez knew that when making it. Fans of the Evil Dead franchise don't come for the story. I mean, the originals have barely any plot either, and they are considered horror classics. So what do they come for? The franchise is defined by two things: people being possessed by a demon and gratuitous violence. Raimi used the violence in a comedic way, spraying literal fountains of blood in his actors' faces, contrasting the serious nature of the movie with the absurd visuals to create that unique tone. Alvarez correctly decided to go in a new direction and not try to recreate the same tone. Even if he succeeded, it would have just been more of the same. Instead, we are treated to a very distressing movie full of very memorable violence and body horror. And just like Eric says,
I don't know if you'd noticed this, but nothing has been fine. Everything's been getting worse. Every second.
So let's talk about what I like first. I love the fact Alvarez isn't afraid to hold the camera on the savage violence. Many lesser directors wouldn't bother challenging the audience with such disturbing imagery, feeling it would alienate too many people. I mean, let's walk through a quick recap of some of what we see in this movie. And I'm gonna try to show some of the visuals here, but YouTube might squash it, so if this section is empty, I apologize. Alright, here we go. We see Natalie cut off her own arm with an electric knife. We see Mia lick her way up a razor to slice her tongue in half. Eric gets stabbed repeatedly with a syringe. Mia stands under boiling shower water. Mia rips her hand off under a car. Mia gets buried alive. Eric and David get shot repeatedly with a nail gun. And Olivia cuts her own face off with a piece of mirror glass. There is a bunch more, but let's just stop with that. What makes the violence so unique to me is the fact a lot of it is self-inflicted. The demon Eric foolishly summons, I mean, come on, you never read the Latin.
Okay, I'm drawing a line in the fucking sand here. Do not read the Latin.
Takes possession of people and makes them do these horrible things to themselves. To add to the disturbing nature, however, it also sometimes lets go of the person and brings their consciousness back into the body so they can experience the pain and suffering firsthand. For example, the girl at the beginning who is terrified that her dad is about to burn her alive, or Natalie, who doesn't understand why her face hurts. Hint, the demon shot a bunch of nails into it. Something about self-inflicted violence is even worse than when it is perpetrated by someone else, and Evil Dead understands this and takes full advantage. There is a lot of anticipation of the violence in Evil Dead, and Alvarez understands that the longer you can hold the tension together, the more the audience is going to cringe in their seats. And not cringe in the watching someone film a TikTok in real life way, but cringe in the, oh my god, why did I watch this movie way. Hitchcock has said that tension is built by giving the audience information the characters are not privy to, and the classic example is, imagine two characters are having a conversation at a table for 5 minutes. Pretty boring, the audience checks out and scrolls through like 57 TikToks. But now imagine the audience knows there is a bomb under the table that could go off at any moment. Now the audience is watching the same conversation, wondering when are they going to check under the table, or when is that bomb going to go off? So how does Alvarez utilize this technique to build tension? When Eric goes to investigate where Olivia went, we see the Necronomicon open to a page where the demon has possessed someone and she has cut off her own face. We, the audience, know from the forest attack that the demon is doing to the kids what is in the book, so we know Olivia is going to cut off her own face. As Eric slowly approaches, the sound design really helps as there is a gross, squishy sawing sound, and we know all too well what that means.
Olivia?
Alvarez takes his time and lets Eric slowly walk into the room, then slowly turn on the light, then walk all the way to the shower curtain, before revealing what the demon has made Olivia do. That whole stretch is one of the most effective moments in the movie and is A+ horror filmmaking for me. Finally seeing the horrifying mutilated face of Olivia is almost a relief because the unknown is scarier than the known, and at least the tension is released. Alvarez follows us up with this syringe stabbing scene, which brings me to another aspect of this movie. It is unrelenting. Just when you think the most disturbing thing happened, here comes another fastball. I mean, the opening scene shows a father lighting his own daughter on fire, and it's like the 15th most fucked up thing in the movie, at best. Evil Dead 2013 does not let up, and has at least 10 moments that would be the most disturbing thing in your average horror film. Finally, I like the use of demonic possession as a metaphor for drug addiction. In the narrative, it is used as a reason the kids don't try to escape the forest sooner, but it doesn't really matter since the river is flooded and they wouldn't be able to get out anyway. Mia's attempts to convince the friends to let her leave is a lot like the demon letting go for a moment to let the victim back into their body. It is an attempt to manipulate and preys on empathy.
You were supposed to be here to support me, not them.
I'm here for you, Mia. That's why
Oh my god. I am such an idiot. To think for once in my life, I could count on you.
If you have ever experienced addiction in a loved one for yourself, first of all, I am sorry, it sucks. And second of all, it is a lot like this. They will use your love for them against you, and it feels like the addiction has possessed them and is making them do terrible things to themselves for no discernible reason. The metaphor is spot on, is executed well, and elevates the first half of the movie way above your typical gore fest. So what don't I like about this movie? Honestly, not that much. If you aren't a huge horror fan, I imagine this movie is a bit excessive. Like I said, there are probably 10 moments that would be the most disturbing imagery in your typical movie, so I can see a lot of audience members feeling kind of nauseated by the experience. If you miss the addiction as possession metaphor, the movie might feel a bit shallow, and honestly, even with that allegory, it is a bit shallow. The intention of horror is to scare the audience, and story is usually sidelined in the pursuit of the skull, so it doesn't bother me that much, but the truly all-time great horror movies manage to accomplish both, and Evil Dead 2013 never really rises to that level. Overall, I really like the Evil Dead 2013, and think it is one of the most ambitious horror movies of the 21st century. Most producers would have made Alvarez tone down the violence and distressing moments in pursuit of a larger box office, so I applaud them for making a really, really, really rated R movie. If you're gonna go for R, earn that rating, and they absolutely do here. The movie veers off in a different direction than the original two, which I appreciate, explores a little bit of a theme for a while, and tests your constitution as a horror fan. Let's see what they do with Evil Dead Rise, which is written and directed by a totally different team and most likely will end up being a disappointing cash grab, but perhaps that's just my cynicism that has built up over years and years of a horror obsession.